We're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Lions Lounge Lockdown, episode 40. We're taking it back to the 90s. Chris Malkin, thanks for joining us, mate.
No problem, Dan. Nice to speak to you. Long time no hear.
These 90s players blow my mind because obviously I'm now a full-blown adult. By the time you was at the club, 1995, 96, I was only 15 years old. So really, really pleased to have you on. 52 games for Millwall, 13 goals.
You only look 15 now.
Mate, I wish.
Sorry, go on.
An eventful time at the club, nonetheless.
How many games? 52.
52 games, 13 goals. You started,
1 in 4-ish.
It's not bad, is it? It's not bad at all. You started your career at non-league Stoke, though. Is that right?
Yeah, well, Stoke. That you won't have heard of that. I mean, let me think what that's equivalent to. I lived when I was at Millwall. I lived in Bromley.
Yeah,
it's like playing for Beckenham FC, or do you know what I mean? Just a local team.
Yeah.
But at the time, Tranmere were in the 4th division. They'd only just avoided being put into the conference.
Yeah.
So they didn't have any money, and I was a local young lad at the age of about 18, 19. You know, banging in a few goals in the local football league.
Yeah.
And funny enough, we had a final, and the final of it was like the Cheshire Amateur Cup, massive cup. It was like the European Cup, the size of it. Anyway, the final was held at Tranmere Rovers, Prenton Park, and we won the final. I scored 2, and after the game, I got invited to go pre-season training with the first team.
Oh,
and from there, I got a contract.
Correct. So, mate, you had 8 very good years at Tranmere. I watched the video earlier of you scoring a goal in the only goal in the playoff final against Bolton. So 8 very good years at Tranmere.
Yeah, that was 91. That was 30 years ago. But I mean, they're my best years. It's my local club.
Yeah.
And to play 8 years, and I don't know, I scored 75 goals, about 300 odd games. So again, about 1 in 4 really.
So I don't usually cover players' careers before they get to Millwall. The reason I've done this, I'm leading to it. When we signed you, Millwall were having a little bit of ambition. They was having a little bit of a go, money-wise. To sign a striker of your calibre for £400,000 in 1995, coming off the back of your record, was big for us, along with Uwe Fuchs as well, signed at the same time. How did Big Mick sell the Southern Dream to you? That's a question I did want to
ask. Well, I had quite a few teams coming after me.
Yeah.
Because at that season, we got to the playoffs with Tranmere. Just missed out. And I played both the games against Millwall, scored a couple at Prenton Park. Had a really good game. And Mick, to be fair, Mick was the only guy who came to see me. I was actually doing my some physio exams at Lilleshall.
Yeah.
And Mick drove up to meet us. Shook my hand, had a chat, and we sort of did it on the basis of a handshake, and that's what I was like, because I'm a northern lad, and he's very, very northern, and a handshake and a pint, that's all you need sometimes.
Yeah.
And I really liked that about him, and I really liked Mick. Got on really well with him, and he was a really good manager, and it was, you definitely had to do what he wanted you to do. Do you know what I mean? If you didn't do what he wanted, he wasn't very happy. But I was happy to toe the line. I liked him. The only thing was, when he left, he did leave a big gaping hole, and the wheels totally fell off. The whole season. I mean, by the time we got to Christmas, we were top of the table. I mean, I was like top scorer, maybe scored 12 by Christmas, which is not bad for, like a typical number 9 centre forward. And we were top of the table. I think a big thing happened. We went up to Sunderland. We were playing away at Sunderland. It was terrible weather, and we hadn't trained properly all week because we couldn't train. Anyway, we flew up there. We didn't take a the coach as we would normally. We flew, and anyway, we got battered 6-0. And I don't think we ever flew to a game ever again after that. It was just on the approach up to Christmas. Got beat 6-0, and it wasn't long after that Mick left.
Yeah, shame, because that's what I want to ask you as well. Millwall had Mick McCarthy, he took over from Bruce Rioch. Then we went to the new stadium and we came close in the first year at the new stadium. Then the following year was hampered a little bit by a cup run. So did he say to you, look, we're gonna have a right go this year, come down south, come to Millwall?
Oh yeah, he sold it because it was when the new den was just just opening basically. So I'd been used to playing Millwall at the old den, with the cages, and it was real intimidating sort of atmosphere.
Yeah.
Anyway, the new den, it was brand new, fantastic facilities. And he just said he liked my sort of style of play. Maybe I reminded him of the what was his name? The Aussie guy who used to play up front there.
Dave Mitchell.
Yeah, that type of sort of style. The only thing was I found when I did get there was that he also had like Uwe Fuchs and Kerry Dixon.
That's right.
So there was myself who was like when I was at Tranmere, playing alongside John Aldridge, I was definitely like the target man.
Yeah, cool.
And then you had Uwe Fuchs, who was a bit of a target man, and Kerry Dixon, who was the target man. And you try and play three of us up front, that was never going to happen. And even two of us up front together didn't always work. I was used to playing with two wingers. Do you know what I mean? Like we had Johnny Morrissey and Pat Nevin on each wing. So I was very, very much used to playing your typical number 9 role. Anyway, I adapted at Millwall because we often played a 4-3-3. But what I was always after was crosses, crosses into the box.
Yeah.
If you have a look at some of the goals I scored, a lot of them were headers.
We'll talk through a few of those goals. And like you said, in my memory from my teenage years, it was you and Fuchs up front because you were signed for 400,000. He was $750,000. What a waste of time that was. But when I actually looked into the stats, you actually started up front with Kerry Dixon that season. Then it went to you and Fuchs. You was always in the fold. Kerry Dixon was in his twilight years. And then, of course, you had Richard Cadet, who was like a shorter striker, and young Scott Taylor, we had on the show last week, was sort of breaking through as well. So definitely competition for places in your position. Yeah.
Well, Richard Cadet wasn't much in the reckoning when Mick McCarthy was there. He was definitely he was out in the cold at that time. It was a toss up between me, Uwe, and Kerry Dixon, the Kestrel. But to be fair, of all of us, he started off quite well. He started off the season quite well, and I ended up playing alongside him, and again doing quite well with him because I think he took up more of the, because he was coming towards the end of his career. He did just stay in the box, and he would pounce on a few goals. I think Kerry got some very important goals for Millwall at that time, and I think it was a big mistake allowing him to go to Luton when they did. So just after Christmas, when Mick McCarthy went, Kerry Dixon also went. And that's two big characters from the changing room. Anyway, Big Uwe, flipping heck.
Come on, mate, what was he like?
On his day, he was funny. He was funny, Uwe. On his day, he's hilarious. But what can I say? You'd go out for. I'd come up from up north, right? Okay, so after the game, we go for a few of the boys go for a pint, a typical sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the group I was with, like Uwe and Jason Van Blerk, it'd be like your night out would be Pizza Express and 2 bottles of Peroni. You know what I mean? That was it. Yeah. And Uwe would be like, yes, I need you have a piece of chocolate after your meal. Yes, always I have a piece of chocolate after my meal. So you know what I mean? That's be his night out. A pizza, 2 bottles of Peroni. Yes, and a piece of chocolate. Yes. But he was funny. I did like him. I used to, sometimes used to stay over with him in his at his flat. He had like a really cool flat in Fulham. You know, yes, I'll take you to the King's Road. You know what I mean? So we came to the King's Road, and I mean, I'd take my girlfriend with me, like, and it was funny though. He did like the finer things in life.
Yeah.
And he'd always he'd have his juicer. He'd you know, his breakfast. Yes, I've had my juicer. So he'd always like make these juices, like. But he was a great like, you know, I suppose if you'd had it was a difficult one if he'd had a run in the team. You know, so if you give him giving him 25 games back to back in the team, he probably would have been better. Do you know what I mean?
Well, he came off the back. He signed from. He was on loan at Middlesbrough before
he
came to
Middlesbrough, wasn't he? He did well at Middlesbrough, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he saw him score some goals. But what I think what happened was there came a stage early in the season, and we were doing well. You know, we were up in the top 6, for example, but we'd lost 1 or 2 games, and there just came to a stage in the season where Mick McCarthy said, "Look, I'm going to have to decide what my best team is, and I'm going to have to play some of these players for a run of games." And he said, right, he brought me in and said, "Look, yeah, Chris, I'm going to put you in. I'm going to give you half a dozen games. You know, you're just going to be in there, okay?" And that helped me.
That's what you want to hear, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, just like actually, you don't want to be coming on every. You know, one time I came on at where was it? We were away at Portsmouth, and I think we were winning 1-0 away, and I'd started some games, and I'd come off the bench a few games, and then we won the game 1-0. The guy came on with about 20 minutes to go, and then Mick was saying to me, "What are you doing in defence? Tracking back all this stuff. I want someone to stay up front. I want someone to stay up top." And I was like, "Hold on, I've come down to Millwall, 400 grand. I haven't had the best of starts. I'm trying to stay in the team. I just want this team to win. So if I track back, it's because I'm defending." And that's why I used to do a Tranmere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I think at that point he realised, actually, I was a bit of a grafter more than a glory hunter. Do you know what I mean? From that point onwards, I think he thought, right, actually, I'm going to give him a run in the team. Because I was honest with him. You know, I went to we played away at Birmingham and we drew 2-2, and it was the time when all the Birmingham fans piled onto the pitch, and Taff came up to me and said, after the game, he said, "Why are you doing so much running about? You know what? You're tracking about. You tracking defend. You know, you defend." I said, "Look, that's just how we used to play at Tranmere. That's how you bought me, and that's what the type of player I am. You know, do you know what I mean? Defend and run about and graft, and I want the team to win. I say to him, number one, if the team wins, then I stay in the team. That's what at Tranmere. If the team was winning, and I was in the team, I'd stay in the team."
Yeah, exactly. What was he like? You just mentioned Taff there, Ian Evans.
Brilliant coach and really good fun. And him and Mick McCarthy used to really, you know, play off each other really well. Yeah. Just you know, really good football banter. You know, Taff was quality, and Mick was really good. Mick was quite dry. Do you know what I mean? And also you knew how far you could push it with him, but you didn't mind. You know, you didn't mind a laugh. And Taff would be, you know, he'd go the extra mile. He'd have all the banter, really.
Yeah, good things about him.
Yeah, but you know, I would say they both worked very well together. And as I say, I really enjoyed my time up until the wheels came off. Up until really Mick left.
Yeah,
because we were literally top of the table.
That's right. Yeah, well,
and you know, I'd scored some good goals.
Yeah, the season started, mate. You scored on your debut. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Grimsby.
Yeah.
Scored plumbing, boiling hot day it was. Yeah, header.
It's a bit similar to the penalty decision, that. Dangerous place, though. Stevens was there. Oh. 2-0. And it was Malkin that scores it.
Yeah, second goal. Alex Ray got the first 2-1 win. And then I think the first 5 games, we win 4, draw 1. You must have thought it's a piece of piss down here in South London.
Yeah, well, I was. What was I doing? I was sort of in and out the team. The team were winning. So yeah, you say we'd had those sort of wins, but like I wasn't always in the starting lineup. It was only as the season progressed that I was like regularly in the starting lineup. So like for example, I think we won away at Reading 3-2, and I don't know whether I started, but then came off, and then Uwe came on. I think Uwe came on and maybe scored 2. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So there was we did dovetail. You know what I mean? Uwe, if I wasn't playing well, Uwe was playing well. If Uwe wasn't playing well, Kerry was playing well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, look at some of it. I look back at some of those. There's a video there up until Christmas, and I've scored some cracking goals. There's a header I scored away at Crystal Palace.
It's next on my notes, mate. 22nd of October, Crystal Palace away. Brilliant header from you that day. Uwe scores the other one. The old Malkin Uwe 1-2.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that day?
Yeah, that's it. And well, that day as well. I mean, it was a bit special, to be fair. You know, because Tranmere haven't got a natural rival that close. You know, their natural derby. The closest derby that Tranmere have is actually against Bolton. That's miles away. Mm. But you know, a London derby like that was pretty special actually. And I remember like talking about me enjoying crosses coming in. Like when I was at Tranmere, they used to hang them up far post, and when sometimes at Millwall, they used to whip them in, or even when I went to Blackpool, they used to whip crosses into the near post, and I was never going to get to those crosses. Anyway, this ball for the goal against Palace, Bobby Barry's down the left, and he hangs it up far post, and I get above my or the defender gets under it, and I attack the ball, head it, score an absolute belter.
When you sort of change tactics and you play with a sweeper for the first time, it usually takes a good 20 minutes to half an hour for the boys to sort of settle down. Well, there's Barry getting the better of Roberts there. Now, what sort of cross can he put in? Malkin's on the end of it! And Millwall go ahead. A terrific strike. Bobby Barry had so much to do with it, but it's Chris Malkin who's nodded the visitors into this early lead. Good cross, George, and a fine header.
Yeah, Bowery broke very well down the left flank, and tremendous cross, and Malkin left his marker, but it was a tremendous header right in the corner. Malkin couldn't have a chance.
And the other one was, I think I got like a partial assist. It was like a near post flick that went in off Uwe's backside or something, I think it was.
Jason Van Blerk will take it. Tony Whitta's up in the 6-yard area. X-Ray is on the edge of the box. Fuchs, another 6-footer in there, coming in. And it's gone in! Well, Fuchs, I think, will claim it. But we need to have a very good close look at that. But it's a goal that's put Millwall 2-1 up. Here's the corner.
But you know, 2-1 win, and you know, there was lots of good goals. Like we beat Ipswich 2-1. We beat West Brom at home. You know, there was a game we played, and we'd actually made a record for the most wins away from home of a team, of a Millwall team, and it was or the most. We hadn't been defeated for. Anyway, we played away at Oldham.
One of my memories as a teenager, we was 2-0 down at Oldham, and it wasn't obviously, there was no internet then, there was no nothing, and I was sitting on my parents' drive with the radio on, Jonathan Pearce, and he said, "Big Chris Malkin's got one back at Oldham." And it was that guy. It was that day. I've always remembered that for some reason.
Yeah. So we drew that game, and you know, the boys were buzzing, and honestly, it was good times.
Let's talk about some of the players in that squad: Casey Keller, Keith Stevens, Alex Ray, Tony Whitta.
Yeah. Rhino, Keith Stevens, he's quality. He was really funny. He was like he was everything I expected of a Millwall player. because the thing is, I'd played against him.
Yeah.
You know, for Tranmere, and he'd trampled all over me a few times. And the worst was Ben Thatcher. Oh my God, he would literally love to trample all over you as you were as you were lying on the ground. Rhino was good. He'd often ask whatchamacallit. He was our physio. Keith, was it Keith? Have you got any eye drops, Keith? I'd a bit of a heavy one last night. You know, because his eyes were red.
Yeah.
And we play this skill game on a Friday. You know, just a light game, just games. And you'd have to chip the ball, and you'd have to like chest it, thigh it, hit it with your foot, and then catch it, and then you'd run out, and you'd have to chip it to your mate. Anyway, Tony Witter, he just wouldn't even do it. He'd go for a jog. He'd go for a jog and a stretch, and you know what I mean, just because although he was quick, and he blooming was quick, and he was gangly and awkward sort of centre half, he just did not have those. He did not have that in his locker. He used to hate playing those games.
Yeah.
Who else was there? Casey Keller. What do we? No, I haven't got any funny ones about Casey Keller. Jason Van Blurk was a good mate of mine.
Yeah, we've had him on the show, Jason.
Yeah, he's a good lad. Loved his cricket. They used to call him Wicket because he's Australian. He's loved his cricket.
Yeah. What about Dave Savage? Good boy, Dave Savage. We've had him on as well.
Good Irish lad. And who else was it? Alex Ray, bit fiery. When I'd scored 12, coming up to Christmas time, and when I'd scored 12, and he'd scored 11, he was like he was really edgy. You know what I mean? He's like, you're not going to get the top goal scorer from me. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he loved the shot from outside the box, Alex.
Yeah, he went on to score. Someone said, I put it up on social media that he was coming on, and someone said he did brilliant for Tranmere, but not so much for us. I thought, hang on, you scored 12 league goals that season. Alex Ray was top scorer with 16. 12 league goals isn't bad at all, is it? The team that got relegated.
Yeah, well, no, the only problem was after Christmas and when Mick McCarthy left, I think I'd only scored one. So for the rest of that season, the thing was, I mean, you probably know this. I got approached to go to Charlton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you not know this.
No.
So I then went to. This was after Mick McCarthy had left, and I don't know whether they were starting to have some financial difficulties at Millwall, but I was obviously a saleable asset. So Alan Kirbishley came in for me, and so I went off to Charlton and I talked with them. And okay, he was pretty much going through, but then so I had a medical, and then what happened was they wanted a second opinion on my medical because my right knee, my right knee was I had a couple of operations on it. Anyway, so that week, we'll call it Tuesday, the Saturday, it was Charlton Millwall. Right. So I was signed for Millwall. I was talking to Alan Kirbishley on the Tuesday. It was sort of going through. I had to have but he wanted a second opinion on my medical. So there was and ahhing about it. So delayed it a couple of days, and then at the end of it, at the end of the week, the chairman was like, "No, we're not going to buy him because he's going to be our top paid player, and we're not going to take that risk."
Right.
But then it was up in the air, so we said we might be able to come to an agreement. So the big problem was that game, Charlton versus Millwall at Charlton, I then didn't play because I was right up in the air, a bit of a in between. Oh, okay. There's a bit of politics going on. So I'd failed my medical. I didn't play in that game. Charlton went on to win 2-0.
That's the last time they beat us, by the way, as well. Do you know that?
Was it?
They've not beat us since.
Really? Well, there you go. There you go. So, but then I came back to Millwall then, and it was still up in the air a little bit. you know, it sort of knocks your confidence and it knocks your relationship with the fans a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's that sort of thing. Plus, we'd had a whole massive turnaround in staff. Mick and Taff had gone. Jimmy Nicol and his coach had come in. The two Russian guys had come in.
You played your whole career in the north, other than this one brief trip to London. Did you enjoy London? I take it. Was you fine? Was you settled?
Yeah, I loved it. It took. I mean, first of all, when I first came down there, it was boiling hot, and I was staying in the Bromley Court hotel for 2 or 3 months.
Right.
And that was tough because it's, you know, just hotel life. I know it's modern day problems, isn't it? Tough hotel life. But you know what I mean? I wasn't settled life. Once I'd sort of, it took me a little bit of time to settle that sort of life.
Yeah.
But then what helped me was that I rented actually Jason Van Blerk's old house that he was renting. So as soon as I sort of got in there around about September time, I was much more settled then.
Yeah.
You know, you know, my girlfriend got a job, you know, and it was great. We loved it. We loved it down there. And if you look at some of those games up until Christmas, some of the victories that we had, fantastic. And we deservedly were, you know, top first or second at Christmas. I think we had something like, I don't know how many points we had anyway. But by the time we actually got relegated, I think we got relegated on 53 points. I think it's the record. No one's ever got relegated on that many points. And it was on goal difference as well. You know, on the final day of the season, I think Portsmouth beat Huddersfield 3-0 away from home. And we had it it was our own fault. You know, we lost too many games.
Yeah, before we talk about the change, let's talk about one of Mick's last acts as manager. It's the two Russians. You played up front with Yuran on their debut at home to Port Vale. We've heard some fantastic stories about those guys.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, they didn't look very fit when they came in. Do you know what I mean? They didn't look very fit. You know, they're a bit overweight. I mean, Sergei Yuran, I think he was the better one. He was the one up front.
Yeah.
But the one at the guy at the back, what was his name? Kolkov, yeah. It was just a bit pedestrian for me. But they were in the team. I think they were getting paid big money because they'd come from Sparta Prague, was it?
Something like that, yes.
Or Spartak Moscow, yeah. I think they'd come from having played in the Champions League with them.
That's right, yeah.
And they sort of strolled. It was like they strolled into the team. And football is fine lines, and some of these fine lines between winning and losing, and being on a winning streak and a losing streak. You know, and I just think there were too many things went wrong, and lots of focus got lost. Even if you think about towards the end of that season, we had a behind closed doors game against Birmingham. We actually beat them 2-0. I scored a header again from a cross. And, you know, where did we go after that game? You know, the Bonbonne.
Bonbonne, yeah.
The Bonbonne. We went to the Bonbonne afterwards. And I was talking to Lucas Neal.
Yeah.
He was probably barely old enough to get in there. And he was saying, "Oh, do you think we'll have done enough to stay up now?" So I was like, "Yeah, Plumneck, you know, 3 points tonight, and we've got like 3 games to go. We must have done enough anyway. You know, we hadn't done enough because we got beat badly in a home game against Oldham Athletic. You know, we got beat badly away against, who was at Luton. You know, a penalty from Witts, who just he just literally got his octopus legs and arms all over this guy. He's so awkward. And you just think, flipping heck, you're in a position here. You got to go away to Ipswich, and you need 3 points, and we've got a point. but it wasn't enough.
Let's talk about what started that whole process off. Big Mick leaving the club. Where did that leave you as a person? You thinking, fuck me, you brought me all the way down here, and now you've done one.
Yeah, sort of. I thought it was his dream job, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was what he wanted to do, and maybe he saw the cracks that were starting. I don't know. You know what I mean? Because he bought in some players. You know, £750 for Uwe, 400 grand for myself, and he had bought in some players, and you know maybe the cracks were starting, and also you know there was, because I suppose the only reason I got offered the chance to speak to Charlton was that you know they might buy me for money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
300 or 400 grand, and that they'd recoup some of that money. So so potentially, you know, you just might have seen it coming a little bit and jumped ship a little bit.
Yeah.
To something that he wanted. You know, look at what he did. You know, he went to the Republic of Ireland. He quite enjoyed his time there.
That's the thing. However, that's the amongst a lot of the fans that he jumped ship.
Yeah. So it's not just me that.
No, it's not just you. No.
Yeah. No. So okay. All right. So I'll explore that a little bit more. You know, we did have something good. Had a good team.
Yeah.
We were near the top. But you know, for your leader, and who was a very much, he was a leader. He was the boss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it just goes, and you're like, bloody hell. Do you know what I mean? And then also the next thing is like Kerry Dixon going. So although he wasn't, even if he wasn't playing every week, he was fantastic in the changing room. He was absolutely brilliant because level-headed. You know, even if he was on the bench, he'd have a laugh. He'd keep everyone. You know, if we won, he'd be like jovial, but hold on, guys, we've got a game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A game to come. We've got a lot to do. Or if we got beat, he'd always lift everyone's spirits. So I think one of the biggest mistakes was allowing him to go to Luton.
Why did you call him the Kestrel?
The Kestrel, because he used to hover at the far post like a kestrel.
He's quite a character. We've heard a few funny stories of him.
Oh, he grew wings. Kestrel was, you know, he's dry. He's such a lovely guy.
Yeah.
Do you know, honest to God, he was brilliant at table tennis. He couldn't he was playing with table tennis. I couldn't return his blooming serves. He was like, he used to spin the ball into the bat. He used to go all over the place.
So Mick goes, and then Jimmy Nicholl comes in. He obviously wanted to bring in his Scottish boys. Did you have a chat with Jimmy Nicholl about your future when he arrived, or?
Yeah, no, that was a funny one. I was late for we had a big meeting on the Monday.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I was on the Sunday. And funnily enough, I'd actually gone down to one of these boats on the River Thames with actually it was with Sergei Yuran and his you know, him and Uwe. So we'd gone, you know, down one of those river boats. I think it might have been called the Moon. I think you got the Moon on the Thames or something.
So Chris Malkin, Uwe Fuchs, and Sergei Yuran are on a boat down the Thames.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, it's a Moon over the Thames or something like that. It was his girl. It was Sergei's girlfriend's birthday. So we gone for a meal, and you know, so me and Uwe, you know, bottle of beer. You know what I mean? He was on his one Peroni. So and then, but what Sergei, they'd have like a bottle of like Jack Daniel's Red Label. Do you know what I mean? They'd be on a bottle of Jack Daniel's Red Label, and as me, can I have a pint of lager, please? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uwe'd have his bottle of Peroni.
I only love the fact, didn't he?
Uwe. Yes, but only after my dinner. Anyway, what you call it? So what did we say? Yeah. So anyway, basically what I'm saying was we'd been out on a Saturday night, and the Sunday morning was the meeting where we all met Jimmy Nicol, and I was sort of like half an hour late, a bit red-eyed, didn't make a very good impression. But anyway, that was a Sunday night. Fancy having a meeting on a Sunday morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's harsh, isn't it? That's harsh.
That's harsh. So Jimmy Nicol, Jimmy was a great guy. What was he? He was good. He'd be a good mate. You go for a pint with him, you'd have a laugh, and he was a nice bloke, good, honest bloke. But Millwall for me, what was it? The way Mick had the changing room, it was what it needed.
Yeah,
it was close to. It was a bit okay. This is a London word, isn't it? Leery. It could get a bit leery. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we could get a little bit leery, and Mick would have to calm people down. You know what I mean? And Kestrel, he'd calm people down. He was like the governor in there. You know what I mean? You'd have people like Bobby Bowery and Rick Newman trying to be the governors, but Kestrel will just give them a clip round the ear all over. You know what I mean? Or just put them down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, but Jimmy was a bit more friendly than that. He was a bit more open. Like he was Northern Irish guy, isn't he? Very open. But I think some of the boys
took liberties.
That's exactly what I'd say. So taking a liberty. All went Pete Tong. You know what I mean?
All went tits up.
Yeah, but the likes of Rhino, were just solid sort of players. We were all trying to do. We weren't trying to go in free fall. You know what I mean? You're trying to lose these games, but there's, as I say, a fine line. With myself, got told sort of like, "Oh, you failed the medical," and then had to come back to Millwall, and of course, then I'd gone to Charlton, hadn't played in the game. I felt bad. I thought the fans maybe felt bad that I'd done that, and then I lost form. The team had lost form. Do you know what I mean? It's a fine line from being, from doing well. So it wasn't particularly I got my head turned because I had a 3-year contract at Millwall. Right. It was just that, this was, I went to speak to Charlton. You know what I mean? It sort of backfired.
Yeah, well, not just for you, for everyone, mate. We ended up relegated on the final day at Ipswich. You played in that game. You started that match. What was obviously that like for a player that come in with an intention of maybe going higher with the team? We end up back in League One.
Yeah, well, I've never been relegated. That's the only time I've been relegated in my career. And I was 0-0. It was a hot day. We didn't get many chances really. What can I say? Ipswich was still going for the playoffs, so they were like a top 6 team, and we were a bottom 6 team. Although we hadn't been, we when we played them at our place, we beat them 2. I think we beat them 2-1. Right. I scored a header above the big centre half, Mowbray. But again, maybe. See the clientele that came in, the Scottish lads that came in, maybe they weren't quite at that time ready for that level. They were young lads, the likes of Hartley and Crawford. They were young lads.
Yeah.
Fit, good up in Scotland, scored some goals, and eventually did score goals, carried on to score goals, didn't they?
Those 2 were all right. It was the other 2. It was Jason Dare and Davy Sinclair were useless.
Well, it was tough. It was tough for them. It's not they don't pick the team, do they?
Yeah, no, true, very true.
There were other lads who came in. It just didn't quite gel, did it? We didn't have the team that we started the season with, did we?
No, mate, so many players in and out the door during that season. This is why this season, the Russians, Uwe Fuchs, the Scottish lads, this season's always very much discussed amongst the Millwall fan base and Millwall podcasts and things like that, because it was such an eventful season with Big Mick leaving as well. And just, I think it's like 46 players in the door and in and out. It was ridiculous amounts.
Yeah. Crazy. But have a look at how many were playing up until Christmas.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When we just had a nice solid team, and you got a run in the team, you could name the team. The South London Press, you could name the team. What's it going to be next week? It's going to be that, and that's what you need, isn't it?
Exactly. I said that. I mean, get off the subject slightly. If the players win at the minutes, we're struggling. Then you play next week. It's as simple as that. You keep your place in the team. Yeah. Too much chopping and changing can soon fuck things up, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're now. When you joined from Tranmere, by the way, what league was Tranmere in? The same division as Millwall? Yeah, there was.
Same. Yeah, the same. Yeah.
Now you're back in League One. What was your feeling during that summer? Was you thinking, I want to get out of here, or was you wanting to stay and fight the calls under Jimmy Nicholl?
No, I wanted to stay and fight the cause. I was just wondering whether the team that we had in the second part of that season was good enough to fight at the top of League Division 1.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They were in free fall. Well, I'm not saying they were in free fall. I was in the team as well. We were in free fall. And then we had to have a good start to the next season, which we started okay.
You started season first choice with Stevie Crawford.
Yeah. Well, he was a good lad. Good lad. But again, he needed a few years to just mature and to come into the game. And we just didn't quite have the that strength of a team that was going to take us into the playoffs or straight back up again, I didn't think.
No.
And then I suppose, you get other offers, don't you? I had family up north.
Yeah.
Blackpool came in for me. And the other thing about it was Millwall, again, I was a saleable asset.
Yeah.
And Blackpool were willing to pay 275 grand for me. So Millwall didn't, they weren't against me going up there because they went into administration then, didn't they?
Yeah, not long after that. Before you did leave, I'm just going to ask you another question, which I noticed during researching. You played up front with Darren Huckabee for a couple of games.
Yeah.
Remember him coming in? He was unbelievable for us, and then he only played 5 games and he went somewhere else. But
no, that was really good actually.
Yeah.
That was like a glint of hope then. Do you know what I mean? Someone comes in because then it was like it was a little bit more experienced, and it was like a big centre forward playing with a smaller, quicker guy playing off him. Do you know what I mean? That's why I was or a goal scorer playing off him, because really, at Tranmere, I wasn't really considered the goal scorer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'd be the typical 9 who might score 15 a season. You know what I mean? 12 to 15 a season. My goal scoring record is 1 in 4, which it was for Millwall and it was for Tranmere. So, but that's more of a typical centre forward who gets involved in goals, gets assists, holds the ball up. You know what I mean?
Like the old school 4-4-2, like Steve don't play, but used back in the day. You'd have a big man who'd be the target man with the little man playing off him when he on off his knockdowns.
Yeah, well, but we're also maybe it is a bit of an old dinosaur type centre forward. Don't get me wrong. When I was young, when I was like 20, I was quick. I was like the fastest in the team. But with a couple of operations on my knee, I had to learn how to play a different type of game. And when I used to play up front with John Aldridge, to stay in the team, I just had to run my bollocks off, win every header, and getting do all the defensive work, do all the hold up play, win all the headers, and took its toll on my body.
Yeah. Well, when you left the club, I mean, so Blackpool come in for you, was their record sign at the time, and injuries started to creep in at that point, or was that later on?
Yeah, no, but I had a nightmare time at Blackpool. I even went there when they signed me. I already had a calf strain. I'd already pulled my calf muscle at Millwall, So I went there with a calf strain. So I was already out for a few weeks. The problem up at Blackpool, I was always used to having a problem with my knee, with my right knee. Yeah. But then I got like a hamstring, a calf strain, a hamstring strain, patella tendonitis on my knee, and it was all on the left side. Do you know what I mean? So my right, I was always able to play with my right knee problem. But when I started getting other muscular problems and injuries on the other side, because I was compensating so much, so I'd have to deal with both. I'd have to deal with a left-sided hamstring and my right knee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For all of the world, it was just, and I wanted to play because I'm that type of player, grafter, and I would, I'd play through injuries, and maybe that was part of the problem. Maybe I tried to rush back too much, but it just, and it gets on top of you, because football's brilliant. Don't get me wrong, the best years of my life playing football, but when you're injured, it's not brilliant.
No,
because you got to deal with it, and you want to perform. There's pressure to perform, and it's not just pressure from fans; it's pressure from within that you want to do well, but you can't do well. And towards the end of the season and towards the end of my career, that's what it was like. It became hard to enjoy when there had so many injuries.
To leave the club, how did that come about? Because you said you had a 3-year contract. You probably would have had well over 18 months still to run on that. Did they offer you the chance to leave, or was you happy to leave? How did it come about?
Yeah, a bit. I think the offer was there from Blackpool, and Millwall needed the money as well. Yeah. And I, to be fair, I was like, well, I quite fancy going back up north. I've got family up there, of
course,
obviously. I had, so that's what we did. I went back up north. Looking back on it, I definitely say I enjoyed my time at Millwall. I enjoyed living down there. I lived in Bromley. It was a nice area to live. I enjoyed the fans. I really enjoyed up until Christmas, up until that period when Mick McCarthy left. It was great. In fact, probably I really enjoyed up until the Charlton sort of fiasco, which, put a big dampener on things.
Yeah, definitely. If I always ask this at the end of the interview, if you could go back, let's just talk about your goals actually. If you could pick a favourite goal from Millwall, or a favourite memory as well, what a goal, what would that be?
Yeah, gosh, well, there's a few. There was that Palace one. That was a good one. Actually, do you know what a good goal was? Away at Wolves at Christmas time. We were a goal down. Mick McCarthy was about to bring me off, I think. And in the previous week, he brought Uwe Fuchs off, and he put something in the paper. And it was a bit detrimental towards Uwe. And anyway, so it was a corner, whipped in. I beat my man to the ball, headed it, 1-1. So we ended up drawing 1-1 at Wolves round about Christmas time. And Mick McCarthy sort of said to me, I was going to bring you off just before then. I said, you're not going to put that in the paper, are you? You know what I mean? And you couldn't really say that to Mick, but I just about could. Do you know what I mean? He sort of respected me enough for me to be able to say that. Do you know what I mean? We both had that mutual respect.
Yeah.
And he said, right, okay, you can come to the press with me for that. You know what I mean? Come up and just make sure that I don't say that. Do you know what I mean? So I quite enjoyed that 1-1 against Wolves. There's a goal against West Brom at home, which starts around about the halfway, and very untypical for me. Sort of get the ball wide, knock it into Uwe, he backheels it. I run through and sort of I scuff it over the goalkeeper, but it's still a good goal.
Yes.
The goal, the equaliser against Oldham. Mick McCarthy's like Plumneck. He rose like a salmon that far post to get that. That was good. To get above Mowbray to score a header you know, some good goals, some good experiences.
My memory of you was always, I'm not just saying it 'cause I'm talking to you, because if I did speak to Uwe, I wouldn't say the same. You was really good for us. I thought he was really good. You come and good striker, did well, but you moved on. If you could go out tomorrow for one last night with 3 of your old Millwall teammates, which 3 would you take with you?
I'd have to take me. You know, to be fair, I'm not saying they were a bit lame, but for what I was used to up north, because Trammy used to go out for a few beers. Don't get me wrong, after a game, but my little group was like Uwe, Jason Van Blerk, and Casey Keller. And I'm not messing. 2 pints. They were like mopeds. 2 pints and they were full. Literally, I'm not messing. And so literally 2 bottles of Peroni. That would be it. That would be it. An American Pizza Express and two bottles of Peroni. Yeah, and a piece of chocolate at the end.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I really, really enjoyed it. Thanks for coming on.
You're very welcome, Dan.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Have a good one.